such a requirement.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you're, and then how do each of these entities determine who is required to wear a uniform?
Union contract.
I know, but we have non-union people that work in these areas.
It's strictly, if you're not required, you don't get reimbursable for it.
That was not a question.
Secretaries in the
Okay.
nursing home
That wasn't my question.
don't get reimbursed.
We have Lieutenant Santuccio that is sitting here that is wearing a uniform.
Correct.
Okay. So under your policy, he's required to wear a uniform.
We don't, it's just the opposite. We don't require people to wear uniforms. What our policy is that those that are not required to wear a uniform don't get reimbursable
Okay.
money.
And that's where my question is.
So who is?
Yeah. Who is required to wear a uniform? For example, is the head of the jail required to wear a uniform, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how did that come about? He's not in the union.
That's true.
But you're telling me that...
I guess what you're getting at is we don't have a policy for non-union people that are required to wear a uniform. And we will come up with a policy and identify those people that are required to wear a uniform, that are non-union.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. It seems to me that what should drive this is policy, not negotiations. Negotiations should deal with how much of that they want reimbursement for, but it should be a policy of the county or the sheriff's department to determine who wears a uniform. We don't negotiate that. What you might want to negotiate is, okay, how much am I going to get reimbursed for that?
I don't disagree. Yes, Frank.
I think the county, the government employee contract supersedes county policy. If the contract says everybody that's in a contract is covered one way or another. They are either covered for uniform expenses or they are specifically exempted for that in the contract. So if anybody, the sheriff's department, the jail, perhaps the nursing home, I haven't read their contract, they are either covered or specifically exempted. That supersedes, those contracts supersede whatever the policy is of the county.
And that's right. And I don't think anyone disagrees with that. But what we don't have, it appears, is a policy for the non-union employees and reimbursement of their costs. That's what it appears we don't have. I think as far as the people in the union, we have a reimbursement clause. And somehow or other it's established, you know. I don't know what the policy is at the nursing home. Do you know, Joe?
No,
I think a lot of the people that you're talking about are union employees, do pay union dues, but they are still not covered for uniform expenses by the contract.
I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea. Yes.
Point of order. At the January 11th meeting, because I questioned this specifically at the end, it is the commissioners that response was, as of January 1, anybody who was required to wear a uniform, including those that the county is not contractually obligated to provide, the commissioners were providing uniforms to everyone required, including those that are not contractually obligated to. So they are providing uniforms for anyone who is required to, including people that are not in the union.
Yes.
In interest of not carrying this on too much longer, I would hope when the commissioners revise their policy, and I would hope that when the sheriff and other departments are looking forward to next year, not what's happened in the past, that the new policy would spell out the non-union people and what the requirements are. I personally would feel better if non-union, we are reimbursing the lieutenant or someone else in authority for some of that uniform expense. If I look at the farm expense for somebody that collects water samples like I do every day, I do not see the need to be paying for shoes or boots and a coat when I tell the lieutenant that they can't get any monies for that. So I would hope that the new policy will look at every department and treat it fairly and come to a real rationale why some people should and some people shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yes?
Just for informational purposes, we're talking 30-some-odd people at the county jail. Their uniform allowance is $3,800.
I don't know. I don't know what it costs to outfit a jail security guard. I don't know what it costs to, I don't know what their contract says.
Obviously a lot less than here.
Well, they must have guns and a belt. No? What do they have?
Cell phones.
Cell phones.
Karachi.
Okay.
2 hands and then.
All right, okay, thank you. So we will look forward to something from the commissioners on a policy for non-union people. Okay, radios. Says we discussed a radio replacement program for the sheriff. However, at least I concluded it needs a lot of work. And Representative Schmidt recommended that the sheriff look into a lease program for radios. Any work on that, or are we still?
I didn't prepare a breakdown for you. There's the radio base stations, there's the handheld radios, and then there's the car radios.
Right.
Each is carried in different. Did we break any of that?
Yeah, I'm still in the middle of getting pricing from OME, and
Right.
After I get the pricing, then the sheriff and I will talk to them about, the lease and so
Okay,
forth.
that's fine. I don't, I just wondered.
Takes them a while to get back.
Right. I just wondered if we were making any progress or not. Okay, cars. The sheriff is planning to replace 3 cars this year. There are 4 that are currently on lease, and the decision was made that we're not going to lease them anymore, but we're going to buy them.
That's correct.
Okay. And and we're only buying 3 to replace the 4. We were also informed that the sheriff had obtained a Humvee, so now the sheriff has 2 Humvees. And rumor has it that you really have 3. So I don't know.
We have 2.
I don't know how many Humvees are out there, and we certainly need to have some understanding of how often these Humvees are going to be used and what the cost of their maintenance is going to be, so that we can make a decision as to whether or not we choose to fund the maintenance or the gas for the Humvees. Okay? And dragging a mobile center up to Conway is probably not a good use for the Humvee. So, anyhow, I know that you probably haven't looked at that or thought about it, but we would like something, okay, from you. Now, if you say it's to hunt people that are hiding in the woods, all right, tell me how many times people have hidden in the woods where a Humvee would have come in handy. I'm just using that, Chris, as, fallacious example, but we just need to do that. Okay, the photocopier, you indicated that you would get back to us on the split. you know, the cost for the,
And I think I just spoke to that a few minutes ago, where I was getting the, as far as splitting them between the two. The
two contractors, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you know, right now, we have, the agreement we have with Porter Office Machine, I think is 1 cent for black and 3 for color, and we pay by that, but they replace the toner and repair and everything for free on that one copy. The other one, we just got a, I can't remember what the contract was, we just got back for the year's service, but for the two that are, one's upstairs and one's downstairs. We dispatch them down, but it's gonna be, it should come in a little less than what we have listed on that budget item. I can give you the specific dollar amount.
Mm-hmm. So, why are we keeping the contract that you have, the 1 cent and the 3 cents?
We might not be. Again, we were just getting everything up and running, and we may not be. We're going to be taking that one, and I mean, the copier is good, working, so, and we own it. So we got to make a decision on where we want to go with it, and the sheriff will decide that, I'm sure.
Whether you want to keep, I mean, okay, you've paid for the copier.
Yes.
And so now all that you're paying for is a maintenance contract, or whatever,
Yeah.
based on the cost per piece of paper that you run through it.
Print out.
Okay. All right. And the court bailiffs,
I think I gave you that last time.
Where is that line? Forgot.
011 for bailiffs.
Okay. Yeah. The question, I guess, that I had on the bailiffs was kind of two things. Did they work less last year because the court was closed down? And what is our quote-unquote contract for hours or days for this coming year with the state?
Yeah, those are both good questions. The court was closed down, I believe, 12 times, 12 in addition to when they were usually closed down. Sometimes you can't tell if they closed down or not. No, I'm just kidding. And however, the court itself was open,
Mm-hmm.
so we still had bailiffs on duty. I think we may have had one or possibly 2 less, but we still had them on duty. So the actual closing of the courts was supposed to be the big saving. It didn't change things very much.
Okay. So
We have kind of a scoped schedule for them. I mean, you know, but it's only an estimate of the times we need.
Okay. And the 122 reflects the total cost of the bailiffs?
Well, other than the uniforms and stuff, but that is a reimbursed amount too, though.
Right. No. How much is reimbursed?
111,000.
111. Okay.
We're at per diem
Mm-hmm.
comes to what we estimate right around $7,000.
I mean, we have the breakdown by court.
I think I gave that to you last week.
Yeah, I think that's what we gave, right? It's probate superior. The entrance, district court.
No, that's fine. I was just curious as to if you had potential knowledge of what was going on this year and whether or not the courts being closed last year had any appreciable impact on your cost.
Well, I didn't answer either one of those questions very well, and I realize that, but it's in a state of flux over there. Yeah, it really is.
Go ahead.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
If I could, Sheriff, I just want you there were 12 days that the court didn't operate last year that they operated the year previously. Made a statement, though, if the building's open for business, we have a bailiff, or do we have bailiffs on duty?
Well, bailiffs, because it's still, even though the court shut down, there's still court activities. There's still, you know, domestic violence petitions and child protection actions that would come up. So the court was closed, but it really wasn't.
Are those, and I don't know, so please educate me. Are those people coming to file documents, or
Yes.
is there some mediation going on in the building that would take an interaction between people as opposed to my doing business with people that are behind a bulletproof wall?
Well, no, sometimes they're actually, you know, they're actually filing paper and then appearing before a judge.
Okay.
In like a one-party action appeal request.
Do they tend to schedule that into one day, or we have no control over?
Well, if it's the evening before, then it has to. Usually, it's the next day. Now, there's some new court proceedings. They were telling us about in Merrimack, where they're actually going to open a Merrimack court on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah. So.
But there's no plan for Carroll County to do that.
Okay. So there are things happening that could be confrontational on those days, and that's why we feel a need for more than one or two bailiffs, or how many bailiffs are we staffing on those days? One to be present and one at the door?
Two?
If the building's open, there's one or two at the door, and then if there's a judge in there, we have to have one with the judge, and it depends on what's going on. This schedule that I gave you last week was given to us by our bailiff that works over there with the anticipated schedule, I believe, from the clerk and so forth. That's what they're expecting. That's what he's expecting. It may be more. It might be less. We don't know. But it's an educated guess at best.
Thank you. It was just for my education. Thank you.
Now, who schedules the bailiffs? You do, or the court does?
No, we do it with the court. When I have a court, the officer in charge, Dino Scala, you guys may know him. He's
then again, you never know.
Yeah, so he does it. He actually does it on a day by day, sometimes even a half-day basis, because they'll call up and say we have X number of detained persons we have to get down here. So he's actually adjusting the bailiff schedule the day of the court.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Excuse me, question. I know it's difficult to try to project costs when things are changing, like the IT individual. Does anyone know whether that's even gone out to bid yet? Are we secure with Cybertron, or is that still yet to go out to bid?
I cannot answer that question, but I believe Commissioner Sorensen can.
Madam Chairman, the contract with Cybertron runs out 1st of March. I have already told him that will be going out for bid, and we'll be looking for a 3-year contract, is what Representative Schmitz had recommended last time. And so we'll be going out to bid for the total complex.
So we're projecting costs at this year's contract rate?
We're projecting costs at our current rate, yes.
Current rate.
Current rate of your month-to-month rate?
Yes.
Okay. If I may?
Sure, please go ahead.
I don't know if anybody, well, there was discussion, I think it was at the first meeting, you were talking about that you needed to buy new bulletproof vests. Did anybody see there was a program on the TV, I think it was a week ago Friday, there's a company in New Hampshire that they actually will buy back the used vests? I don't know if...
I didn't know. It's hard to get rid of them. I mean,
well, this company, actually it was on Chronicle, I don't know if you ever...
Yeah.
It was on Chronicle, I think it was a week ago Friday. It's Granite State Police Supply, and I believe they're located in Wyndham, and they'll actually buy back the used vests, and then you can apply, whatever money you get towards new ones? I don't know. Has
Well,
there been any interest or help or
I
whatever?
certainly think that's something that
I think we ought to look into it.
it would be a great thing to look into.
And one more, if I may, we're getting $20,000 from the Ossipee Valley Mutual Aid for the move across the hall dispatch.
Right.
Who are Ossipee Valley Mutual Aid? What are they, and where are they located?
Well, they have a board of directors. It's all the area fire services, and in this this part of the county, it's everything south of Conway. And they have a board of directors, and it's headed by a fire chief, Riley. And I believe they charge each community for the mutual aid services that they provide. It's kind of a complex formula. I'm not sure how it works, but they get monies, and then they support us on many occasions.
But they're separate from each and every fire department?
No, it's actually kind of a combined service. It's like they're the,
Okay.
they're the mutual aid response.
Sheriff, I think that what would be helpful is
Yeah.
if you could get to Mr. Brown the name of the person,
I can do that.
and then you could talk to them directly instead of having, because in reality, I don't think any of us know
Right.
what it's all about. But I
Well,
think,
it's just that
Right.
we're accepting $20,000 from them. I think it would be a good idea to know who and where where this $20,000 is coming from.
Yeah, Mike's he's got
I can
detailed
tell you.
knowledge.
okay, why don't you take it offline?
I mean,
if you would, okay,
I'll
when
do-
we're done.
I'll tell you after, yeah.
You had a question?
And I was going to say that Adam Thompson, the fire chief in Tuftonboro, is the chairman of Ossipee Valley Mutual Aid, if you wanted to contact him.
Okay.
My question was the Humvees. How much did it cost to put those in service, or they're in the process of being put into service? So what is the total cost for that?
Okay, the total cost to date, and probably for the entire year, will be approximately $4,200.
Okay.
There was no cost to the county from that. It was picked up on through the state police. It's not a grant per se. They're actually the ownership is actually retained, by the Army, but they do give them to you with an indefinite end date. One is staged over in the barn with the trailer, because there's probably no point in having a mobile trailer if you can't pull it, so it's there. We did use it 3 times last year, 3 times unplanned and 1 time planned, so there were only 4 times. As far as using a Humvee in the field, they would have come in handy during that flood that we had a few months ago. And there are other events where they would surely come in handy. But no, we don't have any actual planned uses for them. They would probably be used only in a catastrophic situation. The difficult thing about having them is maintaining them with a normal amount of service so that they get exercised and that they're in good shape. But there isn't any anticipated cost beyond nominal amounts for gas.
What about painting? Somebody said something about they had to be painted, repainted, or is that
I-
cost?
Yes, that was that was most of the 4,200 was towards that paint
But
job.
was that borne by the county?
Yes.
And is that per vehicle, or is that for all 3 of them?
No, I'm only painting one.
That's for the one vehicle?
Right, that's for the one.
$4,200 to get it painted,
That's right.
borne by the county?
All right.
The other ones already had that happen.
No, it's just the OD green.
Oh.
I just didn't want the one pulling the trailer to have that military appearance to it. It was, it was just something, I didn't want a camouflage vehicle, driving around the county with the trailer on it, so.
So the cost for the 3 of them then, to get them painted so that you can use them, is in excess of $12,000?
Well, we can use them with the OD green. I don't have any plan to paint the others.
No, oh, okay.
Right. The value of each one, from a civilian perspective, is approximately $65,000. They're fairly new, low mileage, and they were refurbished. One was 2008. The other one was much older, but it had gone through you know, depot level maintenance twice. You know, so it's almost, and there's nothing like it if you need one.
Can I
Yes.
follow up?
Especially if you're traveling in Iraq.
They come in handy in the desert.
Yes.
I just want to be very clear from my notes that Representative McCarthy is referring to 3 vehicles. The sheriff has said 2. How many are there?
2, right? Yeah. There's 2.
There's 2, okay.
Yeah, there's 2. It's a state police initiative, meaning they are the ones that actually are responsible to coordinate the equipment. You know, we're an end user, you know, but it goes through them. They say, do you have a need? And I say, yeah, I'll take them. There's only 1-day turnaround time on this to pick these things up, because you have to look at them and see if they're any good, and if you don't want them, you know, you certainly don't take them, but there's 2. Wakefield PD, I believe, actually acquired one, but then they found out through their, you know, something with county government that they weren't allowed to take it, so.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Sheriff, we have 2 SUVs that are in service. And Lieutenant relayed to us that one of the uses for the SUVs was to haul the communications trailer. Now that you have a Humvee for that purpose and others, going forward, you're looking to cut down on the SUVs that you have in service in the future.
Yes, I mean, I had a fairly new SUV on stage in the barn with the trailer, just in case we needed it. So now I get that piece of Army equipment in there, which we aren't going to use that much, I hope. And yeah, there's one less vehicle that we're buying.
So in the future, then, you don't expect that you'll be replaced, that you'll have 2 SUVs in service?
Right.
Because
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now you have 2.
Right. We have 2, and we are getting. We're getting 3 this year, and one of them will be an SUV, so we'll have 3 total.
Do you think into the future, if you have a dedicated vehicle to haul the communications trailer, and you have 3 SUVs, and if one of the purposes in the past of the SUVs, because you used to have, you didn't, but the previous sheriff had a ton truck to haul that,
Right.
which was costing us a fortune. So that's been taken out of service. Do you see a need in the future of keeping 3 SUVs and not replacing one of those SUVs in the future, because you don't need a tall trailer for one of your service vehicles that you normally use?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm partial to the SUVs as a patrol vehicle. They are a little more expensive to purchase, and the gas mileage is a little more, but you can certainly get more utility out of them. So I'm leaning towards, you know, staying with SUVs, or at least half the force right now. I mean, I don't need to drive around in one. But I was looking at having a mix of about half,
Okay.
which would be, well, you know, long term, you know, 1 this year, maybe 1 or 2 next year, and then that would be it.
Madam Chair, last week, I mean, you even mentioned it yourself, wasn't there talk about a 3rd?
I just said that was rumor. I don't have a clue.
No, the 3rd is actually owned by, or it was loaned to Wakefield. So now it's going to go out to some other department. I have no visibility on that one. I think somebody here drove it. Didn't Michael Bryan drive that or something?
Yes.
Yeah, we at some point ended up with it. You know, it looked like I had it, or somebody thought I did, but no, we have 2 though. 2.
Yes, Jim.
Yes, just clarifying the status of the vehicle mix and what you can look forward to in the future. There's no expectation that there would be a recall on those Humvees. In other words, you don't have to request a reauthorization each year, or do you? I mean,
No, it's an open-ended thing.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they actually take it off the government property book, and they say you can register it how you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Some of those things are.
But they have a caveat in there that they can take it back.
Right. Okay. I just was wondering if that, how strong that is.
If I'm suspecting not very strong.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I thank you all for coming. It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Lieutenant.
I got a list of 10 items and I'll